Yo, 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 what's cracking? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another fantastic episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy, Ham Solo 05 Gaming here on the TSWS Gaming YouTube channel. And today, I tell you guys what, it's going to be an awesome episode. I have the one, the only Mr. Colt Eastwood on the show today for Behind Them Sticks. Brother Colt Eastwood, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity here to interview today. Hopefully you're doing all right. Please tell me what's been going on with you. And then after you're done with that, please go on ahead and continue on and just let everybody know where they can find you, even though I'm sure a lot of these people already know. But go on ahead, brother. Go on ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what's been going on with me is I've been wading through the muck of the Activision Blizzard news cycle and dabbling in it occasionally, getting excited for the stuff that they've shown since the showcase and wondering when these games are going to like finally be in our hands, and then playing a couple of old things. So I'm kind of in a slump right now as far as what I'm playing, because a couple of big games have come out this year that I haven't loved. And I'm not allowed to talk about that in front of my friends because they get argumentative. But yeah, it's been a really weird year gaming for me, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, it has definitely been a year for the books. There's been ups, there's been downs, there's been trials.
I mean, there's been the biggest games in a long time that came out this year, and a couple of them I was like, tried them, didn't love them. And then I just don't bring it up in front of my buddies because they've been having such a great time. Everyone else loves them. And I'm like, oh, maybe something's wrong with me. But I've never been like that before. But oh, well.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much again for being here. I don't think you have yet. Please go on ahead, plug your channel. Let everybody know where they can find you in case they don't already know. Go on ahead.
Yeah, it's Colt Eastwood, one word, at an email on YouTube and Twitter. And that's where I don't know, making people upset with my opinion, celebrating Xbox, which I think is a pretty darn great platform, and making the best, most enjoyable videos I possibly can so that somebody might say, hey, Colt, I watched that and I learned something and I liked it and thank you for doing it. And I'm like, hey, I'm so glad that I had somebody who checked it out. That's really how it is. But yeah, that's Colt Eastwood's where you can find me.
Awesome. And I'm going to go on ahead and do a favor. I know you like to try to do it in one breath sometimes. Luckily, my members are a lot less, so I can do it in one breath, seeing that I literally just got partnered with YouTube just like 2 weeks ago. So exciting things. Yeah. Making moves.
Yes.
But shout out to the members.
Wait. That's no small feat from the Ham Solo. Like making your way to get enough watch hours and minutes on your channel, getting enough people to sub, enough people to stick around and love your stuff, enough for Google to say, you're in, we're going to monetize you, we're going to make you a part of the program. Bro, that's big. That is a big moment. So shout out to you, bro. Read your channel, members. I appreciate that.
Yes, I'm going ahead and do that now. Got to show respect to those that show the respect right back. Absolutely. Sir X-Man, shout out to you. Ray Chi, Jacob Novick, Silent Cypher, Matt Likes Games, Blind Giant 808, Too Big, Brodacious, Boogeyman XL, Just Mel, Stanley Francois, Sour Blow, Senior Click, which is Vic the Click, Lady Foxfire, Go-Go Pole, Graphics God, Cozy Beluga, Mr. Joanna Dark, and PlayStation Destruction. Oh yeah, and then Dragonheart Yobi, the guy that is Mr. Peace, Love, Life. Great to have you guys as members. I'm happy those of you that are members that are here today to watch the show. Let's go on ahead and get into it. I see some of you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for showing up as well. Risk it for the biscuit up in the house right now. Matt Likes Games. I see it. Did I put you? Did I not? Oh yeah, I did put you in the members. I was just making sure. Got to double check because you're on here as a moderator, so I just had to double check. Anyways, Darth Praxis, what's cracking? Fark you. What it do? But anyways, Mr. Colt Eastwood, happy to have you here. We were talking just momentarily in the green room prior to this show just a moment ago, and I was asking like, yo, man, what was the first console that you kind of had readily available? Like you get off of school and what did you go home and play? Or you get up on Saturday, what's going on with you? My goodness, Silent Cypher with the with the interruption to gift 10 DSWS gaming memberships.
Oh,
Thank
smokes!
you so much. What a way to kick off this the show this evening. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Silent Cypher is a gem out here in the game.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it. But anyways, as I was asking you, what was that? I asked you what the first console was, and you went on ahead and told me. You're like, man, did it really slip my mind already? I got it. You told me it was the Mattel console. Correct?
The Mattel. Yeah, you called it the Barbie console. How dare you?
I apologize. No, it was Mattel in television, right?
Yeah, and if I had to guess, it was like, we're talking like 1982. I was playing on the Mattel in television, which was a gold covered, or kind of like a brass covered, more like it. It looked like it was made out of drum cymbals. A brass console with a phone looking controller with 9-digit or a 10-digit keypad. And it had the rotary dial for you to turn your characters back and forth. And you slipped a little plastic sleeve in for each game so you knew what all the buttons did. It had a curly cord, like classic 80s telephones.
Like telephones.
And it's all I knew. It's all I knew. I wasn't really aware of the Atari 2600 until much later. My parents bought us the Intellivision, and we had, I don't know, Pitfall, a bunch of games that were really classic back in the day. But
Activision from the jump, Colt Eastwood out here.
Oh yeah, that was like, I remember being just a young little tyke, and back then my hair was like really light brown and kind of a, orangish brown color, and I was such a handsome young lad. And I remember thinking, man, someday Activision should get acquired by a future console. But I just remember, if I know a lot of people who might be watching this show are not anywhere near as old as I am, but if you can remember the early 80s were like still had that 70s grotesque look, a lot of browns and oranges. And I was playing on a television, and I knew I loved video games. Of course, I rode my bike and was outside 90% of the time, but I loved video games. And the Intellivision was the one. And I think when people can give a guess how old I am, but I would think around the time I was 8 or 10, we have no idea what happened to that console. Maybe my parents, maybe it stopped working and they just threw it away, but we never knew what happened to the Intellivision. And much later, we got into the NES, like I'm talking like 1989, or 88. Yeah,
so
crazy.
That was the next thing. Now, my next question to you: when do you think you actually called yourself a gamer during that young time of your life? So you had the Intellivision, which was something that kind of sparked the whole idea of getting down and gaming regularly. But was it then with the Intellivision, or was it once you kind of got to sink your teeth into something fresh early on in a generation, like the Nintendo or something like that, where you were just like, what? I'm sold. I
mean, I had like two strong phases in my life over my long, many decades of being around that really sunk me in as a video gaming fan. I think it was when we got the NES when I was 11 or 12. And because we had the Intellivision when I was younger, like in grade school, but by the time I was in junior high, we didn't we had a Commodore 64, which we played games on. So I guess we always had stuff. But having a game console like in our room was a big deal. And I remember, I've told this story on a different show, but I'll make it really brief, that my parents went away for the weekend, just the two of them. And when they came back, they said, hey, we got you guys something while there's four of us brothers while we were gone. And we're like, oh, okay. And my dad brought in a bag, and it was the Nintendo Entertainment System. And I was like, no freaking way. Cause I didn't think we'd ever have one of those. Cause back then they're pretty pricey, I think. And the games are $40 a piece in 1988. And that Sunday, we sat down and played Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers. We had that and one other game. And my brothers and I were playing, taking turns. And my mom's like, all right, shut off. You guys need to get ready and go to bed. You have school tomorrow. And I go, what? She goes, you have school tomorrow. And I'm like, and I remember thinking, you know, I was, how old was I? 11 or 12. I was like,
how am I going to weasel myself?
Yeah, maybe I was 12. I was like, I'm not going to school. I don't need to go to school. Like, this is it. And then the other one was when I played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I got to bridge this together really quick. So I really liked video games on the NES, and my buddy at school let me borrow Legend of Zelda. The cartridge was gold covered, and he's like, you got to play it. And I'm like, and even as 12-year-old me, I was like, I'm not really into the wizards and warriors and the fantasy crap. I'm like, I'm not interested. And he's like, just play it. You'll like it. And I got immediately hooked. So fast forward to many, many years later, I'm talking like 2007. A different buddy lets me borrow just GTA San Andreas. And I was so hooked. The first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, this is like Legend of Zelda, but you're playing as a guy from Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood. And I freaking love this game. And I was so hooked on video games after that, because I'd always played them for a long time, but I think San Andreas ruined me. Like, I did everything in that game. I loved it.
Absolutely.
It ruined your life for the better.
Well, that game gave you the opportunity to be able to swim. Remember Tommy Vercetti? He couldn't swim.
I'd never played Vice City back then.
Oh, what? You never played
Vice?
All right. So there is obviously a lull somewhere.
Yeah,
so
and I've told the story on a few different shows, so I don't chat. I've got the chat over here. If I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the chat. You have to stop me if you've heard it, but basically, we had this Nintendo for like 3 or 4 years, and then the Super Nintendo came out, and I was still playing it, and I was playing Street Fighter, Star Fox, F-Zero, and my younger brother came in the room after school, and he goes, and he's 18 months younger than me, and he's like, do you know what my friends call you at school? And I'm like, what? And I'm like playing F-Zero, and he's like, they call you Nintendo Freako because all you do is play video games. And I go, and I turned around, I was like, and my brother was always cooler than me, and it made me so mad. I pretty much dropped video games for like the next 8 to 10 years. Like, dropped them. But the funny part about this story was when my brother said that to me, I just turned 16. I just got my license and a car and a job, and I was still kind of messing around with the Nintendo. And I came to this realization, like, I have to grow up. And what I ended up doing is I just spent the rest of my high school actually doing something totally besides video games, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. And after high school, got married, had kids, went to college and all this stuff. And I did spend like 8 years away from video games for the most part, except for Rainbow Six on my PC and Roller Coaster Tycoon and I downloaded some stuff on Kazaa or LimeWire to try out some video games. But
so
I always knew
like early 2000s kind of.
Yeah. Like downloading stuff on Napster and then downloading old games that nobody talked about anymore. Or I played Halo 1 on my PC. I got a download from LimeWire, and I'm like, I always heard the name Halo, had no idea what it was. Like, imagine being in that world where you know nothing about video gaming, and then I run a channel talking about games. But about 16, 17 years ago, I came back to gaming like face first into the ground and never came up for air. It's been crazy.
So let's extrapolate on that just real fast. There had to be something that just like ticked, or a new video game that came out that was just like, give it to me, baby. Like, just telling you to come on back, like Rick James did in that episode of Chappelle's show. Like, give it to me.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, what was that moment and what was it like for you, bro? Because like, I understand, like, when you quit something that you were into, like let me be real for a second. Like when you put down that pack of cigarettes and you never come back, and then you just
I'm not hooked on anything.
You just so happen to be standing next to like your idol. Let's say your idol is like Dave Chappelle or something like that, and he looks over at you and he's like, "Want to smoke, motherfucker?" And you just like, Oh shit! Like you don't want to say no. What was that situation for you in gaming where you're just like, dude, I just can't say no. I gotta play this, and it transformed you back into gaming.
My wife got a free magazine subscription to Blender. It was like a pop culture magazine, and I remember seeing this huge article about this game called Gears of War, and it was like never is a guy in a do-rag looks so cool with a chainsaw gun. And I'm like, what is this? And I knew gaming had been evolving over this time where you have to remember, it tells you how old I am. In the mid 90s and late 90s, video games were mostly side scroller and some crummy 3D type stuff.
Sure.
And then in the early 2000s, there's a lot of RTS and fantasy games and stuff that I still have never really cared to go back to. I mean, there were occasional things I did see. Like I remember seeing Mortal Kombat the year it came out, and I didn't consider myself a gamer or a gaming fan at all. Gaming was just something you did when you had nothing else to do, because I just kind of walked away from it. I remember seeing Mortal Kombat going, oh my gosh, like it's just that's really violent. Like this is really what video games are doing now. And so I'd always kind of followed gaming, but in around 2007 when we had our second kid and she was like maybe a year old, I thought, you know what? I finished college. I got a career going. We had a brand new house. We had 2 kids. And I'm like, I kind of tried to stay away from some video games because there's a lot of stories I could tell. But around 2002, when I was really hustling to try to get done with civil engineering in college, like I was really working hard to learn stuff that was way above my intelligence level. And I remember one afternoon I was sitting at our computer that mainly I used to collect MP3s, and I was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. I was building the most amazing go-kart track next to a big roller coaster I'd built and build this isometric dream. And I remember I was going, I really need to get my homework done. I need to shut this thing off. And I uninstalled the game. And I'm like, I have to be careful. Because, way back then, people were like losing relationships and losing their jobs because of World of Warcraft, a game I'd never even heard of. So when my kids were just a little bit older, I thought I need a console. So I bought an Xbox original when everyone had a 360 and PS3. And I got the Star Wars Lego games and played with my daughter when she was 5. And we played every day after work. And then that's when I got San Andreas after that. Like I was so hooked, and those games really pulled me in where I realized this is what I like to do when I'm just chilling. I really like this. So
yeah, and see, I know like you have a thing where you really enjoy playing your video games with your kids. I remember hearing you talk about like Grounded, and here you are now talking about like the Star Wars games and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys got down on like the newer like Luke Skywalker Legos one and stuff like that too.
Yeah, well, my daughter was 5, and she's always been. It was so weird. Like you have to understand, when I would come home and play Star Wars Lego with my daughter, it was because it was like sitting next to someone my age playing, because she was really smart and she's just really sharp, and she would do all these puzzles and help me figure them out. And like normally a 5-year-old, like that can be pretty tough, but I loved playing games with her. And then the other one was too small, so she would like lay on the floor next to us or sit on the couch. And now the second daughter, we played like 6 hours of Grounded yesterday with my son. So they've been amazing gaming friends, better than my real friends who never call me anymore.
I'm wondering, like, how big is that world now? Because you guys have been rocking with that game since it was out in game preview. So your guys' world has to be pretty good. Yeah.
I think our complex, where we do everything and where everything happens, takes up probably maybe a 10th or a 12th of the whole yard. Like it's a huge area that we just enveloped over where you first spawn in the game. The game is incredibly amazing, and they just added something to it a couple weeks ago that has blown our minds. Like the level of quality in that game, like people just don't get it. I think it's at like an 83 or 84 Metacritic or OpenCritic. Now that it's out of
That's a good
preview,
game.
that's a pretty high score. Like it's like right underneath, Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, Halo Infinite. Pretty cool. But I mean, I don't expect people to give it a shot.
Especially a game that's been in preview for so long, where people got to really see what the game looked like when it was in its rougher stages compared to out now. So I mean that's definitely something. But let's go back to the topic at hand. I really want to know now. So like obviously you said Gears of War was like,
oh yeah, I'm jumping all over the place.
No, that's fine. I'm used to it. So it's so the Gears of War was like that comeback moment to gaming.
Yeah, we're talking 06. Like they were. So Blender magazine was writing an article about it because there was about to be a transformative next generation game on the Xbox 360 that had real cover, like real contextual cover and shooting. And I remember seeing something on G4 TV at somebody's house on cable, and I'm like they were making a big deal about it back then, and I wasn't even into gaming at that moment.
Right. So it's safe to say that you didn't really rock, or did you even have an original Xbox at all?
I did.
You ever have one?
I did. So at the timeline, 01 is when the original Xbox came out, and I bought it used off of my boss in 07, at the end of 06. So he was like, hey, you can buy mine from me. I've got 30 games and 5 controllers. And he's like, I'll sell it to you 150. And I was like, all right. Back then I was like, my family and I are really interested in getting Rock Band. And so I'm like, I can buy a PS2 because Rock Band was only on the PS2. It wasn't on the original Xbox. And I thought, or I could just get an Xbox and skip Rock Band. And I ended up buying that. And so I only had that original Xbox for about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Because I got it right before Christmas. You
even had any time to rip any music onto that sucker.
Actually, I did. Yeah, I ripped a couple of my CDs on so I could drive around San Andreas with the custom radio. But
was it your own music?
I got it in December, and then by April, I told my wife, I'm like, I got to get an Xbox 360. Grand Theft Auto 4 is coming out this month. I am enjoying this way too much, and so I bagged up the 5 controllers, the console. I had like 30 games because I just had a whole bunch of games in a case. Took it all down to GameStop, and they gave me $200. And it's so funny because back then,
it sounds like a lot, but I'm sure it was disrespectful.
Well, I mean, funny you say that. I thought it was a good deal because in 07,
really?
the console was 6 or 7 years old. And I had 4 or 5 wired controllers, a bunch of games nobody gives a flying crap. One was Pac-Man, an old Tony Hawk game that nobody liked. And I kept a couple of them, like I kept GTA San Andreas and the Star Wars Lego game, and the rest of them I got rid of. But yeah. Well, I mean, I bought it for 150, and then GameStop gave me 200. And
okay, so it's not too terrible then.
I mean, it's not that bad, but I was happy to do it because a 360 brand new was $299, and back then, when I celebrated you being monetized,
right?
If you fast forward from 07 to 10 years later in 2017, when I started actually making some money on YouTube, like I was like, I can't buy all the games I want to play because that money comes out of our grocery fund. Right. If I want to buy a brand new game in 2016, like Forza Horizon 3, that money is basically like, hey, it's just $60, but you got to go grocery shopping, and things have changed, and thank goodness they have.
No doubt, man.
It means a lot. It means a ton to me that's changed.
So the 360 generation, you really got to kicking. Really got to game.
It was bad.
Gears of
I got
1.
every pigeon. I 100%ed GTA 4. Oh
Lord. Every pigeon, you're out of your damn mind, sir. But anyways, so GTA 4 was a big deal. Gears of War was a big deal. What was some deep cuts for the 360 that you don't really see or hear about too much at all anymore.
That
or
I
possibly
enjoyed?
even a dead IP, maybe even. Yeah, that you enjoyed.
Dark.
Of course.
Dark Sector. I loved Dark Sector. And you're probably like, I don't know what that is. That's the third person Gears / Resident Evil third person type shooter. You're a guy in a Tenno suit. You had the 3-bladed glaive that you threw like a boomerang, and you also had like SMGs. And so you shot, you threw this boomerang and recalled it back, and then you could throw it into shock and put electricity on it or fire, which is, a precursor to the Arkham City games, the Arkham games. I don't remember who made it, but oh my gosh, Dark Sector was really good. And I think it was one of those I bought for like $9 used at the local used game store. And it was really good. No one ever talks about Dark Sector, but it was great.
Good to see Tombo in the chat getting a membership. Got another member in the chat. What's cracking? Thank you so much, brother. Thank you.
Shout out to Noof. Noof knows Dark Sector. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
So does Pixelbit.
Noof came through. Good to see you as well. Same with Pixelbit. You guys came through just a little bit ago. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So Dark Sector was that big deal for you. So now I got to jump across the aisle and say, yo, Colt, was PlayStation Nation in your house in this generation?
Back then?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Did you want a Blu-ray? Did you go get yourself a Blu-ray?
I didn't see what the hype about Blu-rays was. I remember my brother-in-law had a really expensive Blu-ray player, and he's like, "You got to see this." And he had a 65-inch TV, and I was like, "Doesn't even it does not blow me away the difference between DVD and Blu-ray." Like maybe he had a crappy TV, maybe it was a 720p TV, which is close to what DVD quality was. I was not aware.
HDMI cord, not the silver.
No, I'm talking back then. It was component cable or whatever they used to connect a Blu-ray player back in
holy crap
in 07 or 08. Yeah, no, I didn't. So I was not aware of the PlayStation versus Xbox console war until the Xbox One reveal, if you can believe it or not. Now I know people were in the console war, but here's how out of the console war was when we were finishing the last couple of years or three years of the Xbox 360 generation. I went to my friend's house and they had GTA 4 and Assassin's Creed 1 on their PS3. And I was like, oh, those look identical. Like, it looks like the same game. And I didn't understand. I thought like they had to make a special PlayStation version and then they had a special Xbox version. And I was like, wow, that looks pretty much like what I play at home. So I wasn't aware of the console war until I sat down at work with my phone during my shift to watch the reveal for the new Xbox Durango or whatever it was called back then. Yeah. Project Durango. That's when I knew there was a console war, because everyone was like, forget or F Xbox. And I told my buddies, I'm like, let's get this PlayStation. Because we played every night Black Ops 2, and we played Borderlands 2 online together, and we played all these games every night. And I was like, I don't like what I'm seeing. I think I'm going to get a PlayStation, but that changed over the course of that reveal as well.
Oh, Colt, I got to ask, what changed it, bud? What happened?
Okay, so I was really mad about the Kinect. We owned a Kinect, and we loved the Kinect on the 360. We loved Dance Central, and the occasional sports games were okay. But I was like, that was pretty cool, but I didn't want to pay extra for a Kinect moving forward because we had our fun with the 360 one, and that was it. I didn't like everything that they were doing. I didn't like the name. I thought Xbox One was the stupidest name. I hated all the TV stuff. And I was just like, that's just and all the games like they showcase, I was like, is that it? Like, no, I don't care. I went over to my friend's house, my neighbor's house, right over here, right next to me. And he's like, you should come over and see my PlayStation 4. I'm like, okay, because I want to know if I'm getting the right thing. And he handed me the controller. I'm like, because I had a PS3 at the end, the last. My gaming history is so weird. I waited till I am all over the place. I waited until the last 6 months of the generation, and I said I'm going to buy a PS3, and I'm going to get PS Plus. I'm going to play Infamous and Resistance and Uncharted and The Last of Us, and then I'm good. Because most of the other games didn't interest me, and I did. And then I went over and tried out his PS4, and I held the control. I'm like, oh my gosh, this controller is awesome. This is so much better than the DualShock 3. Is that what it was called? Yeah. This is so much better.
The little tiny one on the PS3.
Yeah, and I was playing Battlefield 3 on my 360 at the time because we were just getting started. It was right at the end generation, like right at the end of the year. And I was playing Battlefield 3, and he had Battlefield 3 on PS4. It runs at 60 on the PS4, but not on the PS3 or Xbox 360. So I didn't understand all that technical stuff, but while I was looking, I was like, why does it look so smooth? Like, there's the difference that I was waiting to see. And anyway, I was still close. But my other friend calls me and goes, bro, you got to come over and check out Titanfall on this console. And the console had been out a few months. And that's what happened. Like, and I wasn't trying to be an X-Bot or a pony. I didn't even know those terms existed yet. I just wanted to make the right purchase because I got to ask the $500 out of the grocery fund if I can buy a new console. Took the PS3 and the 360 and sold them on eBay and bought a new console. So I went over to try out Titanfall, and he hands me the controller. I'm like, okay, controller feels great. In my town, they didn't have demo stations at the Walmart or GameStop. I asked GameStop, and they're like, there's too much vandalism in this city. I'm like, oh, wow, that's nice. So he hands me that Xbox One controller, and I start playing Titanfall. And when you release the magazine on the gun, it does like a little rumble, and then it slaps in. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want. Like, Titanfall blew me away way more than Battlefield 3 on PS4 ever could. And I'm like, and he's like, this is the console we should get. I'm like, I'm getting one. And I became an X-Bot after that. Just my life's ruined. Just an X-Bot for days.
Love it. That's an interesting story. So Titanfall, a third-party game, brought you over, a third-party exclusive.
Made by the guys from Infinity Ward, right? Like, wasn't that who it was? It was Respawn. It was just, I don't know. I loved it. It just felt great. The library of games I wasn't super thrilled about on
was great.
Either side. Noob says Rise. I wasn't really interested in Rise. I didn't end up playing it till a couple years later. But It was rough that first 6 months. I got Dead Rising 3 and did almost everything on it. I did as much as I could on Titanfall, and geez, what else was there that year? I had to wait until Forza Horizon 2 came out.
Call of Duty Ghost, was that out that year?
I did not like we were playing Black Ops 2 every single night, and we would sit down and play Ghost. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like it at all. It feels terrible. It's not fun. It's not good. And I just couldn't stick with it. So I was kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place. So the PS4 didn't have anything for the first part of the year either. Their first 6 months or so of their release.
They had like Killzone, Knack, and was that right?
And then Infamous Second Son came out, I think, in May or June. So PlayStation guys, I think that's why the console war was so napalmist. Like so much napalm in that first 6 months, because we had the reveal of the consoles and there was all this arguing coming up. And then when the things released, there was like nothing that you had bragging rights or to really enjoy to play. And I think I split my time. I had my 360 in here and my Xbox One, and I would kind of split between them. I remember 100% of Red Dead Redemption the first couple of months I had an Xbox One on my 360. So yeah, it was dark times.
Did you transfer over and continue playing Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, 2013.
Remember, that was soon after 5 came out. The consoles launched.
Yeah, we were playing that all fall, and I was still playing. That's probably why I still was off and on my 360. Because I had the Xbox One right on top of the 360. And then I was probably playing Grand Theft Auto 5 as well, because I had friends who were playing on there. And then Destiny came out not long after that, and it was I don't know. I don't really love that whole first half of the generation, honestly.
You don't sound like you were having a fantastic.
I mean, think about it, chat. Like that first 2 or 3 years of the Xbox One generation, or if you're on the PS4, like once Uncharted 4 came out, then we were banging. Like when you got into 2016 or 2015, once Gears 4 came out and Forza Horizon 3, which I played 15 billion hours, like then we were kind of getting going. And then Xbox laid down again for a little bit, but yeah.
Took a nap. All right, so I'm going to do what I usually don't do, and I'm going to actually divulge from this conversation for a minute, and I'm going to ask you about something that's going to reintroduce us back to the end part of this topic that we were just talking about. So what I want to know now is, you started doing content creating sometime during that generation, correct?
Yeah.
Later on in the generation, though, obviously. You said 2017, I believe?
Technically at the end of 2015, and then 2016 I started trying. Yeah, it's pretty weird. There was a PlayStation YouTuber that was saying that I just came out of nowhere. It's like, I think maybe that's a compliment, but you have to claw your way to get noticed on a platform with billions of people and viewers. So yeah, it's I do not undermine when I congratulate Ham for being monetized and getting that far in his channel, because it is a struggle. It is such a struggle, because you can make something amazing and no one will watch it. It's crazy.
Yo, check this out.
It really is.
Check this out. 2021, I believe, The Artful Escape came out. I believe it was like during late summer or something like that. And I was just kind of starting to get into content creating. I already had my 3080. I had both of my consoles for about a year at that point. And I remember I made a short, 2.5 minute video of The Artful Escape. And I was thinking about getting content creator. I was already watching your channel and whatnot. And I don't know if you remember this, but I sent you a video of that exact thing. And I was like, yo, thinking about getting into content creating. What do you think about this video? Whether you remember that or not, don't care.
I do. I
thought it was wild that I sent you that way back at that point, just thinking about getting into content creating. And then now we're here, sitting here talking about gaming and stuff like that. Like to me, just in a personal history kind of look back moment, I'm just like, wow. Like I went from no channel, to just asking you a basic question like, check this out. Asking King David, what does it take?
Yeah.
And then asking Lord Attic, what kind of setup do I need to have? And you all were pretty much just like, just do it. If you want to do it, just do it.
Just do it. Yep.
Nike, right? So
just get your audio good. Get your audio nice, and smile. That's what I tell people, and you do that very well. Like, just smile, even if you're not on camera. Just smile to come through on your voice, and really show that you enjoy what you're doing. But yeah, I remember Artful Escape really well, because I watched that, and I watched a very brief review from Xbox Era that sold me on the game, and that game teared me up pretty good, especially being old and being a musician like that. You guys should probably go play Artful Escape. It's pretty powerful.
Game. So it's a really insane game, and it's wild to see the person go from where they started in the game to that end, and then you kind of play like the beginning part over again at the very end. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts because
you've got Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, voices the aging rock star. And if any of you have ever thought about, I was so great in high school, or I was going to be a world-class athlete and I never made it, or whatever you wanted to do, like his story with the young main character, like it cut me deep, bro. Cut me deep because, I always had aspirations of doing different things and some of those things never made it. But that's a really great game. Really, really cool.
Well, going back to the aspirations part, we were just kind of breaking into the topic that was your content creating come up. What I want you to kind of go over right now, or better yet, what I want to hear from you is just your setup of knowing that you're walking into YouTube, Twitch, or whatever you first started your content creating on, and you're just like, yo, I got zero right now. I got zero people watching. That one I'm seeing on concurrent viewers is me on my phone.
The other one's my mom.
Right? So I want you to take me back to right before you did your first show. What was going on up here and what motivated you to get to the point to want to do this? Because one of the things that I hear often about Mr. Colt Eastwood is production, right? You hear a lot of production. You hear a lot of professionalism. You hear, I mean, take it or leave it. But I mean, that's the sense that a lot of people get, respectively, from your podcast. I know when I was first introduced to you, I wasn't introduced by a person. I was just introduced by the algorithm. Okay. So when I tapped on your video, I was just like, oh snap, this is to the T. Like, everything sounds good, doesn't sound muffled. It looks crisp, and that's just that was just because this was before XNC. This is when you were doing like just your 10-minute
just my
shows.
Video production videos. Yeah,
right. It was just a 10-minute shows, and then I would see you on Tuesdays over on Dealer's channel.
I'm gonna show you something. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, so for my job, my career, I do graphics and public outreach for my job. So we try and reach people, and I try to create graphics that are easy for people to understand. And it's engineering related a lot of times too. So I know that stuff can be super boring, so try to make it great. So
no, it's fine. I want to learn. Let's go.
So I've learned on the job how to do production in Premiere Pro, and one of my coworkers that lives in a different city that works within the department, he was a great voiceover person. And I'm like, Steve, you got to teach me how to do this. And he's like, first of all, you have to slow down if you want to be able to sprint. So he's like, he says, I go on YouTube and I hear these guys going, what's up, everybody? What's going on today? We're going to talk about the new, and he's like, that's not good voiceover. He's like, when you speak on the mic, you need to give every word its due. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, every word, every syllable is super important. You don't want to say when you mean the or the, you have to, every word has to be enunciated. And he said, I'm like, what kind of mic, do I need to use? Because I was trying to do stuff for thinking about YouTube ahead and what we would use on the job. And so he's like, you just need to have a good presence on the mic. Don't EQ it or anything. And so I got this. This is a Tascam stereo condenser digital audio recorder that records on an SD card. And I would use this to make videos. I would prop this thing up.
Some Batman shit, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a $200 digital audio recorder, but it has its own built-in power, and it's got these two condenser mics that are really good. And so I would put this in front of me and I would write out a script so I could had all my thoughts perfectly the way they need to be to make the message. And then I would record it. And over a few videos, I would kind of get a good, clear, concise voice. And he said, you're getting there. Dealer Gaming heard my videos and he saw the potential there. But Colt Eastwood in 2016 was getting like 47 views. So I had a long way to go. So I started off by really the catalyst for my channel was everyone hates the Xbox One. And personally, I thought the console was pretty darn good. Like, well, I was forced to buy the Kinect bundle because I bought the Titanfall bundle after trying it out at my friend's house. And I was using the Kinect to say, I would be playing a game and go, Xbox, volume up. Xbox, volume down. Xbox, take a screenshot. Xbox, volume up. I didn't even launch games with it, but the volume up and down was unmissable. I was so perfect because everything was linked to my stereo and my TV and everything.
Yes.
And
talk about it.
The console was really good, but it was universally hated. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've got a checklist of things that make this console better than the PlayStation 4. And then I would look at the games. Here's the best part. This is for the audience who loves to talk about the
Lord.
Here's the best part. In about 2015. Yeah. Let's sit back for this one. Here, I'll sit forward while you sit back. In about 2015, believe it or not, the Xbox had as many exclusives as the PS4, and you are not going to believe this. If you aggregate them all together, the Xbox had like a 1% advantage over the PS4, which was universally acclaimed for having the games, the best quality, the highest rated, Game of the Year contenders, Game of the Year winners. And then when you add them all up, PlayStation had a bunch of crap games. Xbox had a few crap games. Xbox had some great ones like Ori, Forza Horizon, and then people say, those don't count. Those don't count. So I started making videos on this. And I kind of made it my thing that I know how to make infographics. I know how to do some production. I can make, because in my mind, if somebody was going to do console war, if they're like, this will be better, no one's going to listen to you. But if I could sit down and say, all right, here's the metrics. If we take the games up and we add them up and we have an aggregate score and I have them on screen, every game is shown on screen. And I would spend all this time grabbing a screenshot of every game, grabbing a screenshot of the Metacritic, built it like a court case and just like and then put gameplay in between it, have the graphics fly in, pick the right music. And I'm like, this is a really great video. 47 views.
Oh man.
And it went on like that for like 2 years. For almost 2 years, I was making a video every week or every 2 weeks or sometimes every few days. And sometimes I get 250 views. Sometimes I get 14 views. And I tried everything. I tried recording gameplay and talking over it. I still do these production videos. I tried reviewing a couple games. It's so frustrating. And to have somebody go, Colt Eastwood came out of nowhere. I'm like,
you're like, go to hell. You're like, in a way, I guess I kind of did because nobody was seeing my shit at all.
Nobody was watching. And behind all that is a person like me where, I talk to my friends or my wife and say, don't we watch it? And it's tough and it wears for a long time. It's
oh man. The amount of relate that I have with that moment that you just I feel like that's a real moment right there where you're just like, I'm working so fucking hard and nothing is happening.
And you're ready? Are you ready for another banger of a comment?
Let's go.
I would put out a video on a similar subject to somebody else who do a video, and I thought my video was way better. Not just because I thought I was me and I deserved better, but the video would legitimately be better recorded, more concise, better visuals, like on point, and I get no views. Now, back then, I watched Crap Gamer Reviews videos every single day. And I would watch him and I would get most of my news from his videos because as soon as something would break, he'd throw a video out in the afternoon. So I got most of my news that direction was from Crap Gamers videos. And I remember going, gosh dang it, this guy's got 15,000 subscribers back in like 2016 or 2015, and I'm like, I can do what he does way better because the dude's talking about the next Assassin's Creed game and he's put Wave Runners footage on. I'm like, he's not even doing the basics right. And if he knew me and if I knew him, I could tell him, hey, let me give you a couple hints or a couple tricks. But why would you listen to me? I'm not getting any views. But he was getting great traction, and he was the most well-known Xbox guy at the time. And I really liked his stuff. And of course, everyone thought, people thought he was crazy or people thought he was dumb because he liked Xbox. But I knew what he was talking about because a lot of the stuff, most of it we would agree with because we were excited about the platform. So I just kind of thought, I want to be able to do what Crap's doing, but do it better and hopefully get some views and maybe one day make enough money to buy Far Cry 4 when it comes out, like something like that. That's what I was thinking.
I love it.
Oh gosh,
I love it. So you're having these videos come out, you're busting your ass on them. You see Crap Gamer doing his thing. Shout out to what he did and what he's continuing to try to do, because I'm not over here trying to hate on everybody or whatnot.
Yeah, of course, no.
Your grind, right? Your thing is your thing. But you're seeing that and comparing and contrasting and being like, damn, like the effort that I'm putting in is just I can see it versus what I'm seeing other folks do that have so much bigger or so much more traffic. Better yet,
YouTubers that I watched. There were YouTubers that I watched that got millions of views, and I wasn't thinking like that. Like I wanted to start in a reasonable like direction, and I would sit and write a video and write all the things and collect the information, grab it from Google, and then and put it into the paragraph. And by the time I did that, Crap could because he would just turn on his mic and say, hey, everybody's Crap Game Reviews. Today we're going to talk about how Xbox said they're going to do this and they're going to build, and he would just talk off the cuff. There's a couple ums in there, because he just did it in one take, and he'd throw footage over and he'd have that video uploaded before I could even finish writing in Microsoft Word. And I thought, man, what am I doing? I'm slamming my head against the wall. Yeah, it's not working. That's how I felt. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. Risk it. out here saying Crap, respectfully, Crap didn't hold the line and can. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there.
Well,
but anyways,
yeah, Crap is back to. He's been excited about Xbox and where they're going, but there was a time at the end of the generation where a lot of frustration kind of built up, and there were people that said, "I'm out," and I don't blame them because around 2017, when Super Lucky's Tale came out and Halo Wars 2, like Xbox basically had no funding and nothing to look forward to for the next couple of years. So, whatever, right? Anyway, as you were.
So yeah, people had to do what they had to do. It is what it is. Love them, hate them, not my business. But anyways, moving into what I was just kind of going over. You're so you're watching these other content creators, including Crab, some other ones, and you're getting your news from them and stuff like that. Like you said, you were getting like kind of like 47 views here, maybe 200 views, maybe 15 every once in a while. Where was that moment where you're like, Catalyst, this right here,
Catalyst
is the template right here, because this just shook the house. And then the next episode shook the block, or like, a few episodes down the line shook the block. And then finally, like, I'm really getting people in people's ears and people are curious about me. And like when did that happen? What year? Start off with that.
2016, I was, I had a chance to actually, I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll, 2016, I was excited about Ghost Recon Wildlands, and they had this 6-minute trailer that Ubisoft put out that was loaded full of cinematic CGI, not in-engine stuff. But interspersed into it was brief moments of actual gameplay. And so I took that footage and cut it up, and it was about 60 seconds or so of actual gameplay footage. And I cut it in Premiere, and I put it together, and I thought, and I watch it and like, oh, this is really cool because it takes out all the fluff and all the extras, the cutscene stuff. And I'm like, I can build a video about this. So I started researching everything I knew about the game coming up, and there wasn't a lot of articles. So I put this together a 2-minute video because I only had enough footage, and there's just unwritten rules that I had. You don't repeat the same footage in a video. You try not to repeat it from other videos. So I tried to make this really concise video about Ghost Recon Wildlands, a 4-player online game where you're taking down the cartel, and you do this and you have these type of weapons. And I made this cool little production video, and I really tried to be punchy on the mic. And that video 7 years ago got 68,000 views. Now, back in 2016, it got about 60,000 views, and then it just completely stopped. So over the 7 years, it's gotten another 8,000. So that's kind of how things work, right? That video, I remember I was in Seattle with my family, and my sub count started going up for the first time ever. And I hit 1,000 subs, or 1,500 or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It was the best 2 weeks ever on YouTube. And then it was done. It was the growth was done. And so I tried to make other videos like that. But I think by then I had something. One of the catalysts for my channel that not a lot of people know about, because I think I deleted one of the videos, but when I started getting into YouTube, I had my brother help me build a PC, my older brother. And I was so freaking mad that I thought I could build a decent PC to make YouTube videos that wouldn't cost me a lot. And my brother's like, okay, I got to build for you. It's $800, but it doesn't include a graphics card if you want to play games on it. I'm like, how much is a graphics card? He's like, 150, $300. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I remember all the discussion I had with people that you can build a PC for $500. It's better than an Xbox. But I didn't want that. I wanted a PC that I could make YouTube videos about my Xbox One. And I made a video complaining about how PC Master Race was such a lie. And I broke down all the categories. I made an animated transition between every category. And I made this really professional video about why PC Master Race was just a big floating turd of crap lie. That you could not do this stuff for cheap. Not everything's going to work like they say they will. You have to do so many things to get the most simple things to work right. And one day, I made this video and it didn't go anywhere. One day that video starts blowing up. And if anybody's been around YouTube a long time, my video said it was at 333 views for the entire day. And that was an old indication that your video was going viral. Well, that video got 25,000 views in one day and then it completely stopped. But it was because it got shared on a forum and PC Master Race was coming after this console peasant named Colt Eastwood. And I had like 300 subs. I was nobody knew who I was. And this guy, Top Hats and Champagne, messages me and goes, hey, Colt, my name's Top Hats. I'm going to roast you on my live stream this weekend, but it's all for fun. I'm like, bring it on. I was like, any attention is good attention. Wow, so much I've learned.
How'd that end up going? How did that roast session go?
I remember sitting watching. Top Hats he's an Australian guy, and he was roasting me, and I remember watching because I was so convicted about my PC Master Race as a live video. I thought all of my points were spot on, and while he was trying to make fun of me, I'm like, how can you dispute that? Like, these points are so perfect. Like, a console is $300 to $500. Like, I backed away from that stuff after a while, but. Yeah, it's ridiculous the way you don't want to mess with those guys. There's millions of them.
I'm sure.
We became Top Hats and I became friends for a couple of years after that. And he had me on one of his live streams. Once I figured out some stuff on PC, and he's just like, he just plays a character. He just gets on there and roasts people and then puts his arm around you and says, hey man, thanks for being a good sport, which is cool. Can't say that about some people, but oh well.
Sure, for sure. All right, so then that helped kind of boost you in a way. Maybe not the way that you intended to be boosted onto YouTube, but when was like the kind of regular viewership starting to come in? So
Okay,
like
so
where it wasn't just like one video, it got big and then everything kind of died down, and then you like 6 months or a few weeks or whatever, another big one. When was it where it was like,
yeah.
all right, like it feels like a revolving door at this point of me just I
Um
walk in, boom, and I walk out.
uh so April 2017 is when I went from 2 years of this to now I am the 45-degree angle always. And it was because for a year before this turn, I found this guy Dealer Gaming on YouTube because I was interested in about this supposed new expansion to the Xbox. Like there was these talks that the Xbox is so underpowered that Microsoft was going to give you like a plug-in add-on power boost for the console or a USB powered GPU, and we didn't know what it was. And Dealer was covering every facet of that. And I started watching his videos he put out a video like every 3 days. And I was watching every single one of them. And I would sit and watch Dealer's videos at work. And this is what I love about the YouTube community is I felt like when I played a Dealer video, I felt like one of my buddies was sitting here and saying, all right, boys, here's what's going on with the news. And he was just sitting there telling me the news. I felt like I knew the guy. And so I watched his videos for about a year, and around March or April, when the Project Scorpio was about to be revealed to Digital Foundry, I started making videos, and Dealer's like, hey, Colt, you were top comment on one of my videos, and I've been watching your stuff, and I really like it. I think you need help to get to that next level because you're not doing some things right. And if you do, people are going to see more of your videos. I think you deserve it. And I was like, so sorry if you've heard this story before. I think I've told it like 3 times on a podcast. But I'm on the phone at work talking to Dealer on Google Hangouts, and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. All right, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do all those things. Okay, thank you. And I got a phone. I tell my boss, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just talked to Dealer Gaming on the phone. And she was like, because we shared the office together, and she listened to him while I did, and she's like, gosh, because she's like, oh, I'm so excited for you. And back then, Dealer was at like 9,000 subs, and I was at 1,000 or whatever. So I thought, it's superhuman. It's so funny. But he started helping me, and
King of the world.
the next video after that, and the next, and the next, and the next. Of course, the Project Scorpio is being revealed, and it was going to come out that fall. And the excitement was there, and the algorithm was sitting right on my channel. I went from 250 views to at least 20,000 views per video.
Oh my God.
Overnight.
Jeez Louise.
Dealer goes, your cartoon picture of you, get it off your thumbnail. I'm like, why? That's when people are scrolling through, they're going to see that's a Colt Eastwood video, and they'll know to click on it. He goes, nobody gives a flying crap who Colt Eastwood is. Get it off your thumbnail. And like, this is his first time talking to me. He was ripping me a new one. And he's like, are you, this doesn't matter anymore for YouTube. But he's like, what do you put in your tags? I'm like, I don't know, Xbox Scorpio, Titanfall. He's like, fill it all the way up. Fill it with everything that people are searching about regarding Xbox. Fill that thing up till I'm like, okay, sir. Okay, I'm doing it right now. Of course, that doesn't even matter anymore. And then he's like, let's look at your titles.
Anymore? I'm sorry to pause you, but why doesn't that matter anymore?
As far as we've heard, or nobody knows because YouTube will never reveal their trade secrets, but
sure.
The tags are only good right now, as far as we know, if you put in a misspelled or often miswritten word. Like if you put Starfield as 2 words because somebody's like, oh, I want to check out that Starfield game, and they write star space field. If you have that as a tag, it gives an opportunity for your video to show up in their search result. But other than that, tags aren't as important as they used to be. I still keep them all the way full. I have them as upload defaults, so I don't have to mess with it anymore. But anyway,
there's something to take away right there. But
yeah,
all right, continue. I apologize. Continue.
So no, it's your show, dang it. So yeah, he's like your titles. He's like, you need to make those. They have to cover everything. They have to have the searchable terms talking about what you're talking about. Like you can't just. Some channels that are really big can write, so I played an old game and this is what happened, and then get tons of views. But when you're doing very specific things, like my Forza video I put out the other day did not do very well, but the title should be okay. It's like performance mode, ray tracing, 4K 60, a Forza Motorsport upgrade to performance modes, blah, blah, blah. Like it's got all the words that Xbox fans should be looking for what they want to know about the game. That's kind of what he taught me. It's got to be like a headline. And we were filling those headlines all the way up to 100 character limit every video. And it was working. 5-6 years ago.
So shout out to Rain G4 in the chat. He said Colt's wearing Sonic Blue, Sega Next, perhaps.
Yeah.
Got it.
Come on, Sarah Bond, just make the purchase.
Right. As I thought, this topic would lead right back into the first topic. So
this is how you know
Xbox
you're running
One
a good
X.
show, because you can swing it right around just like you need to, baby.
Woo. Working it, baby. But anyway, so Xbox One X comes out. The console itself's pretty dope, but a lot of people will go
the best. It's the best. I think it's one of the best consoles.
It's the best from that console generation in terms of power. I was so disappointed back when I think it was like 16 or 17 when they shut down the snap feature for the Xbox. That
everybody was. Oh man.
But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So so the One X comes out. The games that are released during the rest of the console generation from when the One X comes out to the next gen was kind of sparse, right? We had
Xbox exclusives. It's horrid.
Yeah. It was pretty rough. We had like Gears 5 and a few other,
it was Halo, Gears, and Forza. It was all it was.
Really,
you had Halo Wars 2,
exactly.
Forza Motorsport, and then you had Gears 5, Forza Horizon 4. I don't know.
Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Sea of Thieves and Crackdown and State of Decay. Yeah. It was tough.
For you,
it was
Colt.
tough.
Everybody knows
Crackdown was great.
Crackdown.
Yep.
But anyways,
100 hours, baby.
So that was sparse, but now we're getting into the next generation. All right. Series S, Series X, PS5. Where was your head kind of at knowing that, I'm now a content creator that a lot of people go to see new information? Where was your head at with like the forecast for Xbox? Obviously you're excited, but how confident were you in comparison of seeing the one generation?
I was so confident, and most everybody should have been really confident that now they were ready to bang on all cylinders, and Halo Infinite was going to blow us away, and they bought studios, and those studios they were going to drop Hellblade Saga 2 like really early on in the generation, and like we had all these ambitions, and that the console was going to do all these amazing things. Thankfully, in a year after my channel was moving and I was making money, I bought a used PS4. I played through Ghost, Superman, or Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, you name it, Last of Us 2. I played through all of the big PlayStation exclusives, and it kind of got me centered and compassed in on where Xbox was not delivering games and what they needed to pick up. So I had real great aspirations of the Series console. In fact, I told people they were going to be the market leader. They were going to guide the market, not market leaders for console sales, but they were going to lead and guide the market where it's going to go with cloud gaming and with which was a 2019 thing, and with back compat and all these things that Xbox was doing. And they've had kind of a rough go of it. They were the hardest to get out of the global pandemic that took them forever to get out of it, and they're still making excuses, and they bought all these studios, and we're still waiting for those games to actually arrive. And it's just this year they finally started coming out. So
but the one thing that they did do that you just got done talking about is they did kind of change the way people look at gaming. Everyone now, especially within the last month or two, really, since this whole Activision Blizzard thing has been going on, has been looking like, oh my God, let me fix my mirror real quick because Xbox is behind me. And not saying like they're about to take the lead away from Sony right away or anything like that. It's just like when you see first place making third place moves, it makes you wonder. Right? It makes you wonder, like, dang, how dangerous is that person for you to be in first place to copy third? Why are you putting on his shoes when you're already in first?
For the most part, they do. I mean, there's a couple exceptions where Xbox copies PlayStation, but they have copied a lot of things that Xbox is doing. And I really think they do guide the market.
PlayStation's is a copy of PlayStation's what is it? Their first program or their first piece of PlayStation Plus Premium. I think that's almost a little bit of a copy. How they restructured. Oh, we're not Xbox Live anymore. Now it's Core, and you get these list of games just like you do in PlayStation.
Yeah, that was
Plus.
a direct copy of what PlayStation did a year ago. Yeah, for sure. But for the most part, it seems like PlayStation has been copying what Xbox is doing. But when you're in first place in the console, you don't need to copy them. But they're smart enough to know, PlayStation's smart enough to know that the moves that Xbox has been making for years is really the future-facing direction of how we'll play our games and be able to have your games where you want or how you want them. We've been doing that with all of our other entertainment. Why not games? But I don't know.
Absolutely. Now I want to switch it over to the other side of the street. You see PlayStations came out. I mean, the Series S and X you were pretty confident about. What's it like for you as a content creator that chose, specifically Xbox? And seeing that PlayStation is coming out, I mean, let's put the fanboy stuff to the side for a moment. Mm-hmm. Let me just ask you as a gamer, you're rocking with Xbox. I know you have a PS5. We know you were D-brand, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Wow. Good memory. Yeah. Good. Get rid of those pop collars, baby. Don't like them.
They stink.
The D brand looks slick, man.
Yeah. It is nice how it's right. It's flush pretty much with it.
Yeah, but it just looks good.
But having that PS5 and being an Xbox content creator, did that screw or not screw anything up? But did that have any kind of push and pull to it at all when it came to content creating and making content for your channel?
I mean, I've played all of the big games on PlayStation 5 that are exclusive. And I haven't finished a couple of them, but it can be frustrating watching PlayStation put out these big games when my main focus is talking about Xbox and they're in a holding pattern. It sucks. It really sucks when they put out a big game like God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West, and I'm still waiting for Xbox to drop that one game. And they're still like 1 to 2 years behind on that situation. So taking all the fanboy stuff aside, like when a game like Final Fantasy 16 comes out only on PlayStation 5, I can't go, oh, come on, because I have full access to it on my PS5. Of course I want to play on the Xbox. Of course I want to be able to be in a party chat with my friends whenever, without being on the lonely Station 5. Yeah, I mean, those are real things. And I talk to PlayStation fans that only want to play on a PlayStation. They get mad when a game skips their platform because we live in a world where you can't just play on one single device. And I mean, you don't have to play everything, but you certainly cannot whine that you don't have access to everything if you don't own a Switch or you don't own something besides a PlayStation 5. It's just how it is. So it's helped me. And people think I'm so biased. Of course I have a massive preference and a bias for Xbox. That's my de facto place to play. That's where I mean, I'm playing on PC today and this weekend only on PC. I'm playing something. So nothing secret. But anyway, I could play where I want, but I do have a preference where I'm going to play, and people can say they love something more, but I think it's helped me be more reasonable. And maybe this will get clipped. It'd be kind of nice, but I don't typically have videos made about me from big channels because I rarely ever say anything that's a lunatic comment or completely outrageous and unreasonable. Like when I make a console war statement, like yesterday, or today I said
or today, this man.
This is a perfect example, Ham. This is a perfect example. I said Xbox Series console is the best game preservation console ever.
That's a fact.
And I say it, and I didn't say why because I knew people would argue and there'd be mass engagement. But it's because you can get 1,500 or 2,000 retro games. Xbox supports 400 or 500 back-and-back games free of charge. You do not have to pay for a subscription to get access to them like Nintendo does. Like you have to have Nintendo Online to get their retro. I forgot what it's called. We have it on the Switch. I still play it.
It's a $20 a year thing that you have to pay for to be able to play those old games like the original Mario 3 and stuff like that.
20 a year? Like I mean, I'm paying for Nintendo Online, which is like $9 or $10 a month, and I thought that also gave me access to
the family one. I believe is 20.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's yeah. So you have to pay for a paywall subscription to get access to that. I should look at. I think we're paying the monthly thing, and we might not need to because we only use it for the virtual arcade. I think is what it's called. So the preservation thing, it's if you're being reasonable, just say yes. Xbox Series X offers more preservation, but these people are so mad. They're like, yeah, but they're getting rid of physical games and they want you to pay for Game Pass. Like, bro, every game in Game Pass is available to purchase outside of the subscription. Like, it's completely separate. And the world is going digital. But if you're gonna make your arguments, just be reasonable. Just think, okay, what's the pros and the cons of this? And I think some people just go ahead and just make a statement like, name a game better than The Last of Us 2. You can't.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, The Last of Us 2 is pretty great.
Such an opinionated question, too, because it's just
and it's made to, like, fire people up. And it's not a reasonable thing because Red Dead Redemption exists. No, I'm just kidding. It's a great game.
All right, shots fired.
I didn't love Last of Us 2. I played all the way through it. And it did not make me feel nice. I didn't enjoy some parts of it, but I definitely wouldn't call it the best game ever made. I've played some games that are way more incredible. Yeah. It's a great looking game though, but just be reasonable. Just have a little bit of push and pull, just a little bit. Maybe.
All right, so now we're hitting the end of the topic, and the way I kind of wanted to end this specific topic is kind of talking about the recent things that's kind of been going on. So we've seen a major kind of shift, or at least in my personal outlook of everything, I've seen kind of a major shift as to where Xbox was looking kind of questionable to starting to look like sustainable. You remember all the way up until pretty much just the last month or two, people were saying Xbox is on the clock. They might be making an exit. They're going to become Sega, the publisher. Right? And now...
Well, I mean, yeah.
And now it's like, whoa. They looking a little sustainable after making that big purchase.
A little.
And then at the same time, you see people questioning PlayStation now, because of the last showcase that they have, where they've clearly shown a shift in how they're conducting their business right now. So as you see, they've kind of said, let's slow down a little bit on single player and put more emphasis on multiplayer and gas type games.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing people online like MBG and other console fans or fanboys, whichever way you want to go with it. I don't care. You're seeing a lot of these people uncertain as to what the future looks like for Sony. Where's your head kind of at with this whole kind of like direction? Like which way is what going at this point? And I want you to first talk about Xbox. How do you feel that they're gonna how do you feel they are going to advance forward with what they currently got. And what I want you to kind of do, I want you to kind of narrow this down a little bit. I want you to do that without talking about further acquisitions. I want to talk about what we got
good
now.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Xbox is ready to deliver things that PlayStation delivered very well in the past 4 or 5 years. They're about to deliver single player epic games, RPG big epic games, and new IPs. And that's something that they couldn't do at the end of the Xbox One generation, and they weren't quite ready to do at the beginning of this generation. So right now, Xbox is poised with what they own. Let's skip Activision Blizzard since they haven't even signed it yet. We don't even need to mention it. With what they have with Bethesda and the studios they have now, the 11, 15 studios that they have, before Bethesda and ZeniMax is out of the equation, they've got all of these games that are being made that are basically single player games with some with multiplayer content. So they don't have the games as a service push because they've been doing that before and hobbling along. So that's where I think Xbox is now, where they're in a good situation where Satya says we're all in gaming, which is a really good indication that that's where they're out there trying to they're further investing in the platform, which means those studios, when Compulsion says, look, we'd like a AAA budget, and I think Phil Spencer told them not just yet, but they're making a game that could be really, really great for a AA budget. Like, we'll see that slowly start to open up, where these studios will get more legroom, more leeway, and more funding, because that money will be there. And that's where Xbox is right now. The crummy thing is I've just had to wait for the past 5 years for them to deliver something outside of Halo, Gears, and Forza. Halo, Gears, and Forza. Now, can I talk about PlayStation? Let me segue into PlayStation.
Yeah, and let me set you up just a little bit for that.
Okay.
So with PlayStation now, as I said just a moment ago, with their whole showcase that they have, and the lack of like community that they've kind of had with this console generation. A lot of people are kind of like scratching their head as to like what's going on over there. You know, Herman Hulst will come out and say, "Oh man, I seen this game from Santa Monica. It looks amazing," and then we'll get nothing at the showcase. Or somebody will say something about one of the studios, and it's just like after a couple of years, people were expecting to see much more than what they got. I'm asking you now, after kind of setting all that up, I'm asking you now, with this Activision Blizzard merger, which it seems like it's definitely muddied the water within Sony and Microsoft. I'm curious, how much do you think this specific merger affects the future for Sony and their PlayStation with creating new AAA experiences, not only with gas, but also with single player? Because there has been a lot of words saying Call of Duty helps fund so many of these different PlayStation games. Well, now it's a 70-30 split in comparison to all the cash that they were making before. It's not the same deal. Do you think
we don't know what
it's going to affect it going forward? Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, let me answer that. Yeah, let me answer that. I don't think it'll affect PlayStation whatsoever. They were lying when they said that it would affect their business. Call of Duty and Diablo and Overwatch have zero to do with PlayStation Studios and their third-party partnerships that they already have in place to make games as a service titles and to make their own PlayStation, Sony Interactive Entertainment games. It has no bearing on them whatsoever. The problem that PlayStation is dealing with is what, in a sort of relatable way, is what Xbox went through at the end of the Xbox One generation. Now, no one said this. No one's going to believe me when I say it. But for the most part, PlayStation has put out all of their big bangers with Sucker Punch, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, Insomniac. They've got Wolverine coming and Spider-Man 2. But they've already set up all those games. We already know what they are. They've already come out, or we already know what they are. I think for the most part, PlayStation Studios has hardly any big bangers to get people excited about other than these games as service titles. So PlayStation is going to have a 1 to 2 year lower lull period than what they're normally used to. PlayStation has been able to continually provide 2 great games every year that keep them up in the top of the food chain. But next year, 2024, they have almost no first party representation outside of MLB The Show 2024. And they might have Concord, but we saw a CGI trailer. I don't know if that game's ready yet. Huh?
The burger game.
The Space Burger game, yeah. And Concord's probably going to be pretty awesome, whatever it is, right? But we don't know what their future is for an entire year. Spider-Man 2 is going to come out. It's going to get like an 87 or an 88 or maybe an 86 meta. It's going to get nominated for Game of the Year probably. And it's going to be like, all right, 3rd Spider-Man game in 5 years. Woo, here we go. And then it's going to be over. And then there's going to be this long draw till the spring. MLB is going to come out on Game Pass. It's going to be on Xbox. And baseball fans or non-baseball fans don't give a crap. And then I don't know what they have in the holiday unless they have some third-party deals that their studios aren't making. But Xbox is ready to deliver great games right now and over the next 1.5 to 2 years. And actually, I don't think that's going to stop. But I think PlayStation is going to run into their first lull they haven't had since 2014 or 2015. I think it was 2015 when they said our first party is sparse this year. They haven't had that in 10 years, and I think they're going to run into it in the next year or so.
Do you think that
to answer your question, ABK has nothing to do with the bearing of that. That they'll continue to make a great chunk of money off of Call of Duty, and Xbox will make even more off of that. But their future does not depend on bedazzled chaps in Call of Duty and an extra map and a zombies mode early. Like that does not.
You mean not
that does
Christmas,
not survive their entire year?
I mean,
it's a big holiday moment.
DLC character, not the Christmas Call of Duty DLC character.
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm totally wrong about how much that affects them with ABK. But I think we would be foolish to think that Xbox acquiring Activision would sink PlayStation. Xbox didn't buy Activision and Blizzard to stomp PlayStation. It's not even in the same conversation. They bought it to get a foothold in PC and mobile, to make a ton of revenue, to cycle that back into their investment in growing a massive gaming platform for almost everybody on every device except for a PS5. Thank you, I'm out.
Oh shit. well,
I don't think it affects them negatively.
Just to be frank, we got about, hopefully, if you have the time, we have about a half hour, maybe 25 minutes left.
Okay.
And I just wanted to give you that so you can know how to use, your time here in a little bit. But anyways, I'm also curious while we're in this subject to ask you, do you think that PlayStation was just late to the party with innovation for this generation forward? So, I mean, the reason I asked that is because look at the way that they kind of came out this generation. They came out at the beginning, they came out with their chest all the way out. Beaten.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing their thing. We believe in generations. These PC games are going to wait. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These subscription services are stupid. We buy our games. I mean, they had all of these sayings, or at least the fanboys did. And Rain G4, I'm gonna get to that super chat just a moment, but I just want to finish off my thought while I have it cooking around in my head. I'm curious as to, do you think, because we talked about just a moment ago, first place is copy and third place. You've seen PlayStation say we don't care or we believe in generations, and then all of a sudden they got a backwards compat team. They don't really want to bring games to PC that much, and then all of a sudden they got Jim
Ryan said it's important to bring games to PC last year, so yeah, he totally flipped on that. And
you're seeing games coming out on PC that were not exactly telling the truth. Ratchet and Clank with the SSD.
And then for the most part, the majority of the games they put out from their first party studios have been, except for 2 of them, 3. For the most, there's a lot of the big games have been cross-generation when you said we believe in generations. So even PlayStation said that they would be supporting the PS4 for a few years when Xbox said only 1 to 2. And Xbox has already done supporting the Xbox One from their first party. So a lot of things they have, I don't consider that lies. Like people like to say that's Jim Ryan lying. I consider them calling an audible when you read the room and say, look, we can't do this because they're kind of getting hit harder than they want to admit. I know there's a controversy this weekend about how successful Final Fantasy 16 is, but Final Fantasy 16 was really well received. But I think the only thing that held it back was there aren't enough PlayStation 4s like there were when Final Fantasy 16 PlayStation 5's out. There's not enough customers available to sell that game at the numbers that game should have sold at. So Square Enix will tell you it was successful, and sure, they said that, but I think they know they would have sold maybe 6 million instead of 3 if they had as many customers available to them like they did when they released Final Fantasy 15, which means there's lots of PlayStation 4s, plus they were on Xbox One, plus they were on PC at launch, I think, if I remember properly. Then they were kind of restricted and funneled down. So PlayStation had to kind of be malleable with those things. And Xbox has always, from the very beginning, said, look, we're just going on everything. You're available on cloud. You're available on all these things. And they're still trying to keep up in sales because they got to have those games be as popular as some of the PlayStation titles.
No doubt, no doubt. Rain G4 with the $4.99 super chat, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Rain. He comes through saying, great show and conversation. Question to you guys, will the PS5 at least get a Starfield wallpaper? The disrespect for you, sir, is just, it's up there. It's up there. Hey, I ain't mad at it, though. I ain't mad at it. I will definitely be playing Starfield from my PlayStation to watch back my gameplay on my Xbox. It'll be fantastic. But anyways, moving forward, Silent Cypher gifts another 10 memberships to those of you out there. Make sure that you go and hit the allow button or whatever that little switch is to allow yourself to become a member to this channel. It'll definitely get you the sooner that you hit the button. But anyways, Cole. Interesting conversation about the PS5 and the Xbox. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about some of the people that kind of got you in to this content creating and stuff like that. I just want you to pretty much shout out those people that really encouraged you to go out there and, oh man, you're getting 40 views, you're getting 15 views. It's all right. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Who were those people?
I was kind of by myself, but my friend Underachiever, who I've been friends with since like almost 10 years, longer than 10 years, he was always encouraging me to keep doing what I like. Dealer was a huge help. And around the first 6 months that my channel started to get moving, with his help, he started RDX podcast that summer, and we like matched each other's subscriber count. We've been like the same size channel since then, and he's always been great. I got to shout out Gaz from Game On Daily, Septic Sauce, who's been really helpful. I mean, I have so many friends who, like Randolph Thor, he'll put my head on his shoulder and go, "It's okay, Cole. Your next video we'll get more views. Don't worry about it." He's been a really great help, and we help each other a lot. There's just a lot of people. The guys from the RDX crew, all of them, Zocker, D, Fonz, they're all friends. Hargeet Chani in the chat, who I talk to every single day on Xbox Live, just about. And if I don't, something doesn't feel right. There's just so many people. Asa from Game On. They're all so The community's great. I saw Lady Infamous in here earlier, and I should have shouted her out when she was there. I'm gonna probably see her at PAX West. They're just so this. When you said community earlier, and you're talking about
weeks actually.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, on this show. Yep.
Awesome. I don't remember what I was gonna say, but you're talking about the community. Like, this community is so big and so great, and so I don't think everybody gets to have that community. I think we're really, really fortunate. And if you see one of your buddies on YouTube and their video's doing great, tell them, oh, that's so awesome. Because if you're trying to make content, chances are someone might go to your video after watching theirs. So we should help each other and be supportive. Because remember I said at the beginning of the show, you have to scratch and claw your way to get people to watch your videos. Like, it really means a lot when someone replies and said, hey man, I really enjoyed that video. That was really cool what you did and what you showed. And one guy was like, you suck at driving a stick. Because I had this like 20-second clip of me driving my track racer setup. Yeah, I'm like, I suck at driving a stick. Like, I could probably outrace that guy in a real car. Anyway, whatever. It just always perplexes me that people jump into some stranger's comment section, insult them, and go, there we go. I feel so much better. I'm like, I could never do that. I could never do that.
I just stopped. Never do it. The shit out of you real quick and leave. No big.
Yeah, it's the norm, but I always go, all right, I guess. Whatever.
So here's a curious question that I had, and I'm sure many people have thought of this before back when it happened. But how hard was it for you, Colt, to leave RDX?
Oh my gosh. It was like breaking up with a girlfriend, man. It was tough. And there was some strain there. There was,
you get so far, and then now you're like, you set me up with my getaway boat. I'm ready to set sail.
It was like leaving a band, like, except worse. Like, it was RDX and those guys. So yeah, I've been in bands. Like, RDX and Dealer and those guys are so integral and important in my everyday life. Like, we talk. We have a chat here. We have DMs there, DM groups. We're on Xbox Live. We call each other. Like, it was a tough thing because I did Dealer's show, I think, for 4 years, every Monday. I think I missed a few shows. And I knew I wanted to do Ecstasy, or every Tuesday. And I knew I was going to do Ecstasy on a Monday. And I knew I just couldn't continue to do a show back to back. I would probably die. And I thought, this is long enough. But getting the courage to tell Dealer that I'm going to leave was like pulling a javelin out of my own stomach. Like, it was so difficult because I felt like I was telling him I wasn't going to be there to hang out with him for 2 hours and help him with his show and just be there. And people were like, why are you leaving? And I'm like, I kind of wish I could have stayed for a while, and I wish I could be on there more often, but it was a hard thing to do because I watched Dealer grow one of the best podcasts in the scene. And he's the best host. He's got all the charisma. The dude could talk about silicone and you'd be hanging on every word. So yeah, that was a tough call, but I'm glad I could do my show because he has 5 people on the panel, and it waiting to have your chance to say what you got to say. It's tough because you had all the heavy hitters on the show, right. So it was a big deal.
A lot of people that have a lot of different opinions, but still keep it together with each other. So it's very interesting. Yeah. But now I want to get into the XNC podcast. So obviously you went and started that, left RDX. That show that you have is every Monday, correct? And you started that show. I remember I remember your first few episodes and whatnot. You had guests. It was just you. And you would have guests come on the show and talk. That show changed a little bit. You ended up having Gaz on there as a guest, and then he ended up being regularly there. And then,
Okay, so
times happened, and then now it's Mac. My specific question before you go into whatever you're about to say is, what made you go from wanting to do it solo and have guests to just permanent panel members every once in a blue moon, I guess, but mostly just
yeah,
the rapport between me and somebody else?
When I look back to 2 years ago when I started or whatever it's been, I feel like that young man is. I'll put myself in the shoes of Morgan Freeman when he's like, I look at that young man who did that terrible crime. I look back at that young guy who had these ambitions to have on developers and executives and big prominent people from the industry on and interview them and talk about the news. And I did that for a little bit. Like I did it for the first 6 months. And then I have a key contact at Xbox who sends me early embargoed information or news about games to review. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'd like to get so-and-so on the channel, on the XSE for an interview. And he'd say, no. And I'm like, why? Like you guys are about to put something out. Like this thing's upcoming and they'd be perfect. He's like, no, we're not messaging that right now. I'm like, what? And then I say, okay, here's my list. Who can you get me? And I sent him a list of people. Like the high people were Matt, Aaron Greenberg, Sarah Bond, Pete Hines. And he would say, look, Colt, here's how it works. If we want a message that we want to put out and we want to do it like through a podcast or a video, we'll reach out to you. So he's basically saying, I don't have time to wrangle just for you PR, marketing people, messaging people and all this stuff. And he didn't say all that, but I think that's what he was getting at. So I was kind of frustrated because I built this show and I can't do what I wanted because I was naive. And I talked to Jez Cord and Jez.
So just to slow down real quick, you're saying the initial vision was what? What was the
list of 30 people? I have a list of 30 people that you could probably come up with if I told you like who would be hot on the show. And they were like really prominent people in YouTube, really prominent people that were in the game industry, developers or marketing people for Xbox and I had this laundry list of people that I was going to reach out individually. And he's like, hey, you need to go through me. Like I would email them.
Oh,
I had a developer from Arcane. I had a developer. People are like, why'd you bring Gaz on your show? Like, why'd you do this? But I had a developer from Arcane set to be on my show. And I had it. She had ran it through her boss, her head manager, Arcane. It was okayed. She was set to come on in 2 hours. Then Harvey Smith, the head of Arcane Studios, heard about it and goes, wait, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going on Colt Eastwood's podcast. He wants to talk about developing games, creating environmental stuff and the stuff I do as an artist. And he's like, no, you're not. And he said, you're not. And I had to reach out and get Asa on the show as like a stand-in. Like I don't have a guest. So the Xbox PR person told me, we'll send people to you. Like you need to go through me. And he did. He sent me Jason Ronald twice. He got me on with Major Nelson. And it was great. But I just realized that I couldn't sustain an every week killer show. And I had great people on the community like Danny Pena, Paris, Review Tech. I even had Dreamcast guy on my show, and some people were rude, but we had a really good discussion because the guy, he kind of plays, he told me that he kind of plays stuff a little outrageous to kind of get people talking, but he was so nice and we had such a great show together. Sure. But I realized that day when I had Dreamcast guy, I'm like, this guy is really nice. And you'll find that people are really nice. You just get a chance. I hope Hargy's still here on the show or on the chat because he'll tell you. If you just talk to people, you realize how amazing human beings are. But I just decided at one point I got to do something. And Gaz and I have been really close. And he helped me build the show, like behind the scenes. Him and Asa showed me the technical stuff. Gaz and I workshop my overlay and how I was going to do things. And he's like, you need to launch it on May 10th. And I'm like, in 2 weeks, I'm not ready. He goes, you're launching May 10th. And he was pushing me. And so 6 months into it, I think, or whatever it was, I said, Gaz, I would love to have you as my co-host. I know it's 1 a.m, but you don't have to do it, but I think it'd be really great for both of us. And he goes, oh, bro, I'm in. And he did the show for 8 months, stayed up till 3 to 4 in the morning until he died. And then he came back. He had to crawl out of the crypt, and he couldn't do the show anymore. I was super sad, but yeah. And that now I've got Mag, and I love Mag, and it's been really good, and people really like him, and I like our chemistry together. So a podcast is so much work. And chat, hit the like button and tell Ham how much you appreciate him for going live, turning on the camera and the lights, and sweating it out so that you guys can have an entertaining time. Because I think it's a lot of hard work, and we appreciate you, bro. We really do.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you took the second to do that, because I'm hitting near like 150 episodes of this specific show on this channel.
Nice.
And that means I've talked to about 150 different people out there, and there's a lot more to go. I see a lot of people in here that I've talked to before. Risket was here earlier. I've talked to him. Hargeet, I've had him on the channel before. Matt Likes Games, he's here. He's the first episode I ever had for Behind Them Sticks. So like dude, there's some history here, and to see 34 people watching when this show initially, when it first came out, it was recorded, and I got stoked when there was 10. I know how it feels. So now I'm seeing like 30 whatever people watching with a bunch of likes and whatnot. Sure, it's not in the hundreds like your show or whatnot, but that type of growth, you gotta appreciate every step of the way, even the days that suck, and then you see the bounce back after a horrible week. You see a bounce back, and you're like, man, there's still people rocking with me. This is dope, you know? So shout
privilege.
Out to you guys.
Yeah, it really is. It's a privilege. It really is.
100%. But what we're going to do now is I got some pretty quick hitter questions I want to hit you with before we do our sign outs and get up out of here. Colt, so far, so great. It's been a phenomenal episode having you here. Great conversation and whatnot. But let me pull up those questions, because I have a few of those questions. I know I was telling you before the show that these questions that I like to send to people are more or less a template to redirect and get back on track when necessary. But there's a few really dope questions in this list that I like to ask everybody. So let's go on ahead and get right into it. So the first one I wanted to ask you is, what is a video game genre that Colt Eastwood, if a person came to your door and said, hey, here's this game for free, and you look at the game and you're like, get off of my lawn. like you're just like, I'm not playing that game, bruh. That ain't happening. Like, I don't rock with that genre. What genre of games, of all games, would you say that you just cannot stand or just don't really like?
It's got to be the JRPG. I just can't. I can't do it. It's been something that's ever since I was little. Like I just never liked or could never stand anime style or JRPG stuff. Like it's just way too eccentric for me. Like it's too over exaggerated. I don't like the styling of it and the tone and the music. Like the orchestral music is annoying to me. It's just how I am, and I've tried to move past it. I've tried to play different really popular games. I've even loaded up Genshin Impact on my PS5 to see what all the rage is. I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know what it is. It's just super weird. It has nothing to do with that culture, because I love a lot of things in Japanese culture, and there's just something about the anime thing that I just do not like it. And I've tried a few times, and I just always end up repelling it. I don't know what it is. It's super weird.
Oh Lord, Rain G4. said, "How did you guys come up with your name?" Now, I'm wondering if you're asking me
Yeah,
because
I want to hear yours first.
Colt. I mean,
Where'd we get Ham Solo? No, my name's not. My name's not Colt Eastwood. No, that's. But
it's really not.
It might as well be. It might as well be. It's been that way for so long.
That's news to me. Okay, I always thought you were that. Good for you. Good for you. But
I mean, I could use my real name. I guess eventually I think about how there are big YouTubers that just go by their regular name and nobody shows up with an axe and chops their head off. But it's iconic enough to, I don't know, for me to make it to Ham Solo show. So we'll stick with it.
All right.
So where does Ham Solo come from?
I got my name for playing entirely too much Battlefront on my original Xbox. My cousin went to work at like 6 a.m. and then got off of work at like 3 or 4, ran a few errands and came home, and he is like, "Bro, it's been over 12 hours. You are going Ham Solo without me." And I was like, "Yo,
Ham Solo." No way. Yeah, I went Ham Solo. That's funny.
He's like, "You're going Ham Solo without me." And I was like, "You nailed it." And I actually didn't even use that name until I lost my original Xbox profile due to me being very inappropriate with my name choices on Xbox. And if any of you guys remember, if you ever had an inappropriate name, Xbox would ask you to change it. They'd politely ask you to change it. They do it like 4 or 5 times. I probably changed my name like 6 or 7, and I don't know, somebody probably seen the amount of times that I've changed my name, and they seen what my name was, which I'm not gonna say it on stream here. If any of you are curious, hit me in the DMs and I'll let you know possibly, but I'm not gonna say that here on this channel. But yeah, they seen that for like maybe like the 6th or 7th or 10th time or something, and they said, "You are suspended until December 31st of 9,999. So,
oh my gosh,
I got life in jail with Microsoft for my original. And so I lost some digital games. I lost all my progress in Modern Warfare 2 and 3 and Black Ops. And I lost all of my so good characters that I had in Borderlands 2 that I put days into. Maya was dead. like Maya was dead before Borderlands.
Maya
3.
was my main back then too. Yeah, she's the first one I got to 52 or something.
Man, I was down bad, and I was like, there ain't nothing I can do. I done messed with the bull too much, and he horned my ass. But anyways, keeping it moving. I don't want to keep talking about my sad life moments. I want to get into the next question. it was pretty bad. But anyways, now I'm kind of curious. So we know what you refuse to play, JRPGs. Colt's not rocking with it. I am curious as to what the best 3 games that you played in the last year are, and those do not have to be new games. So you can bring up something on the Sega Genesis if you want. If you played
in the last year, trying to think, going all the way back to summer of last year. So I think it was last October was when I beat Grounded. It's definitely one of my top games. Out of all the heavy hitters, like, I'm not going to talk about Grounded, but I need to tell you, if anybody's listening who thinks Grounded, like, this game means so much to me. My 2 kids and I live in this backyard together, and it's like we're really there. Like, it's so funny because when I look at my son sometimes, I'm like, oh my gosh, he is such a Pete. He is so Pete in the game. That game, we have gone through so much together that I won't even talk about what the game does, but everything that we've experienced has been so amazing. It's been together, and I've not had that experience in any other game. Over the past year as well that I've played, I really, really enjoyed Hogwarts. And I'm not even a Harry Potter fan. I just recently watched the movies.
I hate Harry Potter, or at least I thought I hated just that whole IP. That whole IP, I was like, that thing can go to the landfill and get messy. Like, just go away. Harry Potter shirts.
My family and I watched.
Just like, yuck.
My family and I watched all the Harry Potter movies last fall before the game came out.
Okay.
And I liked them, but like I kept thinking about how I feel about the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies, and I'm like, they're not even close. So I'm like, okay, I understand Harry Potter. I like a lot of things they did, and I'm ready for the game. And I ended up really enjoying the game more than the movies. I just thought the game was just really good.
It was well written, man. It was really well written.
Yeah. Yeah, over the past year. This might go just beyond a year. Actually, only a couple months beyond a year, but the Mass Effect Legendary Edition trilogy was so incredibly great beyond my wildest expectations. As someone who has beat all three of the games 3 to 4 different times, replaying it in one sitting over the month of April of last year, or whatever it was, maybe it might have been 2 years ago, I like teared up several times because that series has become so much to me. So those would be my biggest experiences I've had over the past year or so. This Mass Effect trilogy, remaster, Legendary Edition, Grounded, and maybe Hogwarts. There might be something else in there, but those are the first things that come to mind without too much crazy thought.
And I'm guessing the space aspect of Mass Effect was a big deal for you. I've seen a lot, especially when that game dropped. I've seen you putting that in a lot of your videos, Mass Effect and stuff like that. I got to ask you, because it's going to be probably, in my opinion, probably the most popular game this year after it drops, as long as it drops correctly. But thoughts on Starfield real quick. Just, this isn't even a question from the list. I'm just kind of curious as to what you think now, with there only being a little over a month until we play.
Yeah, 42 days until like the day zero
man
thing.
Got the number, you tripping?
Yeah, J Rock shared it out today. I was like 42. All right. Starfield is one of the most important games of many years. Like it's a Bethesda game. It's the big Bethesda game. It's going to be big. I think maybe bigger than Fallout 4. It's going to be kind of give us some of that Skyrim importance when it comes out. It's going to be a big deal. Anyone who cares about gaming or sci-fi is going to be talking about the game. It better be dang well up to the task. It seems like it is. 45-minute deep dive at the Starfield Direct proved that the game is everything we hoped it could be. We already know it feels great. Like we've seen enough of the combat to know it's going to feel fantastic. We already know it's expansive. Is it going to be dull in some points? I don't know. Can Fallout 4 be dull sometimes when you're traveling to and from? Maybe. But then that tension comes in. I am on my 6th or 7th attempt to play Fallout 76 right now. I decided to play it on PC. This is so great. Are you ready for this? I've got a really, really great PC, and I thought maybe the game looks way better with all the settings cranked up.
I know where you're going.
Doesn't.
God damn. No, it doesn't.
It basically looks like the Xbox version with FPS boost on with just sharper resolution. But what the PC did was it doesn't carry over. So I started a new character. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start the game and try to play it properly. I have ADD. I'm not following the quest properly. And then I wander and then it becomes worthless. So I've just been slowly, methodically playing it. And I am really enjoying what Bethesda does when you scour around and look for the things you need, kill enemies. Every dead body is like a Christmas present. What do they have on them that I need, that I desperately need right now? And managing your stuff. So Starfield's going to be a big deal. And I say the Fallout 76 thing as a total contrast. Like, not a lot of people love that game. I'm one of them that doesn't love it. But just knowing that magic in their worst game is going to be like fully present in Starfield, how can you not be so excited Oh, I cannot wait to play that game. And please, Bethesda, send me an early review code. Yeah, they're not listening.
No, they're not.
So,
but anyways, now I'm interested in knowing what your most favorite studio is of all gaming. What's your favorite studio, and what video game in particular best represents that studio?
Rockstar, and Red Dead Redemption 1 is one of my all-time top favorite games, but I think if you look at Grand Theft Auto 5, like the campaign, it gives you a really good idea of what Rockstar can do. Humor, great snappy humor, really great gameplay, really great looking visuals for its moment, and still really great looking visuals. The music, like everything comes together, and they just don't scrimp on anything. And they just put their game out whenever they freaking feel like it, because when it's out, it's dang well ready.
It's a showstopper.
They are the studio to look. If you're a studio building games, you should be saying, how would Rockstar do this? Or would Rockstar release it this way? You know, there's news now that launched or that dropped the other day that this is so funny. The drift mode and the drag racing mode are not launching with Forza Motorsport at launch.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's broken, it's incomplete. And I'm like, I've 100% of the campaign. I've got 6 days of full driving time. I've completed every race in the campaign. I didn't know until a couple days ago that it had drag racing or drift modes. I don't know why.
The new Forza?
I'm talking about Forza Motorsport 7 from 2017. I've got 6 days into it. I've completed all the races, all the endurance. I've completed the entire campaign. I've just never gone into the menu past the single player campaign other than free play and multiplayer. I've never even known there were those 2 modes. And now I've got people telling me that Forza Motorsport in October is incomplete because it's missing a mode that me, a diehard fan, had no freaking idea it existed. Am I a fraud? I had no idea. And then I Google it and find out that Drag and Drift released in year 2 of Forza Motorsport 7. In 2018, they dropped the drag racing, and people are freaking out over anything and everything that they can hold on to that Xbox isn't going to deliver. And gosh dang it, I hope that Forza Motorsport's amazing. It looks great. The feel's there. People are, and sometimes I'm like, the game looks just like Forza 7. Sometimes it looks way better than Forza 7. They're inconsistent. It's like, what is it? The time of day? What is it? A mode they're showing? I don't know what it is, but people are a little iffy about it. But I just talked a lot and just said, I don't know. I don't know why I even brought that up.
So you're saying Rockstar in GTA 5.
Rockstar. Yeah. Or Red Dead
and that's
1.
The showcase. Yeah. Or Red Dead 1 or 2. I'd say Red Dead 2, or in my opinion, GTA San Andreas.
It's really clunky if you play it now, but gosh, it was so great at the time. I couldn't believe everything it could do. And they don't miss when they make stuff. It's incredible.
Doing a triathlon in a game, spraying weed plants, going to Vegas.
I went around and took care of every baller graffiti. Now, remember when they were asking about where we get our nicknames from?
Sure. Oh, right. You never got to answer that.
People won't get this because they just look at me, right? Look at me. My nickname comes from Snoop Dogg. And now, if you have to be older to know what this means, this is a very obscure reference. But when I was in high school, my friends either called me Snoop or they called me Colt. After the name of the car I drove. I drove a little Dodge Colt hatchback when I was in high school. And it wasn't it wasn't a great car, but it was just iconic because that's what I drove, and we drove everywhere in it. And so Snoop's nickname in the Deep Cover song that he cut with Dr. Dre before he got like big, he called himself the Maniac and Black Mr. Snoop Eastwood. And so they started calling me Colt Eastwood, mixing those two together way back in like 94. Snap. So I've had that because I'm a big hip hop and gangster rap fan from way back in the day. And looking at me when I listened to it all, loved it all for so long. And once gangster rap went away, I couldn't deal with rap anymore. It was a joke to me after that. I was like, if you're not talking about these serious issues, I don't want to hear what you're rapping about. Like, we're in the club, it's my birthday, and I'm like, that ain't rap. I'm out. That's how I was back in the day.
Snoop Eastwood. Oh man.
Yep.
That's pretty. That's pretty dope. You got your name partially from a car and Snoop Dogg.
Yep. Snoop is the best, man. And he's still kicking, and he refuses to stop. Oh, so is Dre, man. Those guys changed my life. Their music is amazing. Their first albums are just, oh man, they changed my life.
Speaking of the thug that is Colt Eastwood, Silent Cypher drops a $2 super chat and says, "Every dead body is like a Christmas present." Colt Eastwood.
Yeah, it sounds terrible, huh? and like Starfield's best moments will be in those first 20 hours when you are just desperate to get supplies just so you can keep going. Like, I cannot get my ship to do the things I wanted to do, or I'm having a hard time staying alive because I need this, I need that, or I need to build up my armor. And when you're desperate and you're scouring the planets and the old outposts, like, it's the best. I used to play Fallout games. I'd get like 100 hours in, and I'd say, you know what? I'd go and just drop all of my gear into a chest and go out with like one pistol and say, let's build it all up again. And it actually renews your playthrough when you're like deep in the middle and heavily leveled up. So yeah, I can't wait. Wait.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. I got the Constellation Edition, man. I cannot wait. I think I'm actually going to double dip and get the whatever version that's in Game Pass, so I just don't even have to touch my box.
Don't even have to open it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna open it up and look at it. And if I ever go to a Xbox showcase, that's the one place I'm gonna wear the watch, and I'm gonna be hunting down Todd Howard to sign it. And I'm gonna be sitting there. I'm gonna be walking around with a marker and my watch and being like, "Where is this sucker at? I gotta find him. He's got to sign the back of the watch or something." And then I'm not putting it back on. It's going into a plastic sack and then going into my pocket from there to never be touched.
Do we know if the watch tracks your steps like a Fitbit?
It's supposed to be a smartwatch, so I'd assume so.
Because I have a nice Fitbit, and I'm like, I need to track my steps because it's something I do. And I'm like, if that Starfield watch does that, put this in the drawer. I'll be walking around.
He said it's gonna be his new daily drive.
Yeah.
All right.
Or
all right.
Yeah. Or I'll wear it when I go have cocktails with Todd Howard. Hey, let's go get a drink together, Todd Howard. Hey, where are you going, Todd? Ah, dang it. Yeah.
All right. So now we're getting to the last few, like literally like 3 questions left, maybe 4. But the next one I wanted to ask, which I already know the answer to, what's your most excited game for this year and why? Starfield. I don't want that one. I want what's your second most excited game, because I already know your most excited one's probably Starfield. So I'm interested, is it Forza that you're most excited for next, or is it something else?
Hopefully I don't mess this up, but let me see.
There it is, yep.
I'll see if I can bring this back.
Yeah, you're good. So
good,
it's the
good enough, yeah.
Machine.
Yeah. I would be excited about Forza like I normally would, but I'm even more excited to play that on with the seat, because that seat doesn't do anything other than give you a steady foundation for the stick shift, the steering wheel, and the foot pedals. Like, they're not going to move on you if you're driving. So I'm excited to do that. In fact, unfortunately, the e-brake, the handbrake, is like a $70 handbrake, but the console version, for some reason, that is only compatible with Xbox, because most of them are compatible with PC. As I go like this, which looks ridiculous, it's like almost $300. But I'm like, if you come around a turn and you haven't braked enough, you can yank the e-brake and spin the back end of your car around, which is what I used to do in real life. And you could save a really bad braking decision. And I kind of want to get one. Plus, if you play Forza Horizon 5, you definitely need a handbrake, because you can rip that thing when you get into gravel or dirt or grass, and it's amazing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Starfield
areas.
and Forza. Yep.
So
and drift, yeah.
Something you can clear up for me real fast, so we can get moving. But something you can clear up for me is I've heard that the Forza games don't have the best steering wheel support.
Okay, I've heard that a lot of times, and I've heard it from Forza Irwin, who is a big enthusiast in racing games. Forza Irwin doesn't even really say that Forza is the best racing game. I don't know what he's thinking. The feel of Forza is so... People get so mad when I talk about Forza because... Okay, how do I do this without bragging like a dork like back in the day? But I used to drive my hatchback around like a total moron when I was younger. And I used to I went through 2 clutch cables. I would go through brake pads in like 8 months. And I drove all over the place like crazy and like I shouldn't. It's very dangerous and stupid. But when I play Forza with the steering wheel and I get on it and I shift through gears the way that I do, I don't even have the tack up. I just listen and I know when to shift and I know what gear I'm in because that's how I used to drive. I feel like that experience is very real to what I'm used to. And I play Project Cars and Assetto Corsa and those other games and I'm like, I don't like it. So I'm really excited about Forza Motorsport because I feel like that's the feel of racing to me. And so I talked to Chris Sasaki. Please watch my video if you haven't. It's 10 minutes with a 2-minute outro. And I talked to Chris Sasaki behind the scenes about the steering wheel. And he said that he has a direct drive $1,000 Fanatec steering wheel that is a professional sim racing thing. He said, Chris said, I spent most of my time on that Logitech G920. And he said I could tell you
this last Forza thing too.
Yeah, he said it to me in June at the showcase when we were at the behind the scenes preview of Forza. He goes, I've been playing most of my time in the office on my Logitech G920, and I could tell you, I cannot get off of the steering wheel. I love it. I said, that makes me so happy because that's what I have at home. He goes, it feels so good. And I was like, it is so nice to meet you. Thank you for all you guys are doing. Awesome. Can't wait to hear more. And I asked him about performance mode and he said, we're not talking about it right now. So that's a different
steering wheel than the other one you said he had. He said he had $1,000 one.
The Fanatec. Right? Yeah. He has a direct drive. It's got an actual linkage that I don't know how they work, but they're you can get them for $500 or so, but normally they're about $1,000 for the whole setup. And they have the professional steering wheel, like the carbon fiber things, which anyway, but they're really expensive and they're more accurate. But this one is gear driven. It's got 900 degrees of turn. So you get most of your turns out of it, but yeah, it's great. It's really good. I mean, I could do the heel thing. Like I put my heel on the wheel, like you do when you're turning really quick and then grab it. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's great, but I think it's a $300 set for the G920. And then $50 or $70 for the stick. And the only thing I don't like about the stick is it's really light. So I had a couple rubber bands on it to give it some tension. So you could, because you want to, you don't go like this and then the thing flies off. Yeah, because it's really lightweight. But there's some nicer ones, but they're quite a bit more money. We'll see. We'll see what I get into.
All right. The next thing I wanted to ask you is if you were to go in Revive, and I know some people in the chat know this question. If you were to go back and revive 2 games that are currently dead IPs, what games would you grab and give a AAA budget to?
Dead IPs. I think some of the IPs are dead because nobody cares anymore.
Well, see, I don't want you to think about the people. I want you to think about you.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you're going to hate this. I think Crackdown's dead. I would like it to get a true game made by a real, not a real studio, because Sumo Digital is awesome. I just don't know what happened with them. They're really great, and I would love a true Crackdown from a studio that wants to do Crackdown instead of being commissioned.
Okay.
Because that's what happened. Is they gave Sumo Digital the shot at making Crackdown 3, and they just did it on contract. Like the people that make Crackdown 1 and 2 wanted to make it because they created it, and then Ruffian worked with the head guy from Crackdown 1, and I think that's gone. But we need a sandbox game. Like I talked about in my couple videos ago about Prototype. We need like that sandbox open world anti-hero like destruction game. And we could have gotten way better with Crackdown 3. And I would like to see a studio take it on that says, you know what, I would really like to make Crackdown, and then get that's studio you want to make something like that. You don't want some studio say, or Xbox say, hey, we need somebody to revive Lost Odyssey or Banjo-Kazooie. You want that studio to say, hey, we want to do this. What do we need to do to make it happen? And so that's what I want. That's what I'd like to see.
We know you can't wait.
I'm notorious for it, huh?
You know you can't wait for that. All right, so that was one game, like Crackdown or Prototype type game. What was the second one?
The second what? IP?
Yeah.
To revive?
I gave you two choices.
Hold on, reset for me. An IP a dead IP to revive?
Yes.
I can pick two.
Mm-hmm. You picked Crackdown. Now we need number 2.
Trying to think. I don't remember what else Xbox kind of laid dormant. It seems like they're bringing back Fable and Perfect Dark, and my goodness, I don't know. A lot of people said
Rockstar game you want to see.
Oh, from anybody?
Yeah, this isn't just from Xbox. This is
okay.
Literally, I mean, it could even be on the Switch or the PlayStation, whatever. Like a dead IP that you want to see come back.
I really feel like it's dead, but I'd like to see another Max Payne because they don't even acknowledge it anymore at all. And I think I would love what they did with 3. Oh, so good. I would love to see a new one.
Yeah, 3 is fantastic. I can't say was because I'm actually currently going through it. I beat the very first Max Payne 20 years ago on PC on my Gateway Moo Cow freaking PC.
Yeah.
You remember those things back when
I did. That was like one of those games I think
was like legendary to have in your PC.
That was one of those games I borrowed from LimeWire, I think was Max Payne 1. And you get toward the end, I was like,
yeah.
When you have that moment when you go back to your home, and I was like, that still haunts me today.
When you're walking that bloody line, you feel like a piece of trash. Like
yeah.
It's not cool.
It's bad.
A bad part of the game.
Because I kind of missed I missed that spot when games started to get mature, and they started to kind of get more cinematic. So playing Max Payne was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And that was probably 2003 or something when I finally played it. Yeah, crazy.
Okay, so Max Payne, what you're saying? Because obviously Remedy is working with Rockstar right now to remake or remaster 1 and 2. I believe. So what you're asking for more or less is a Max Payne 4. You want to see the continuation that is Max Payne.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about those Max Payne remasters.
Mm-hmm. That's something to look out for, but we don't even know what the timetable looks like for that. All right, so that was the 2 games. Now this is a kind of a loaded question, or at least a 2-part question. The first part is what frustrates you in gaming in general, and this can be anything, where it's community, development, whatever you can think of. Okay, what frustrates you in gaming? And then the second half is what would be a dream come true. Hit me with what frustrates you, Colt Eastwood, first.
It's gonna sound so ironic, but the tribalism and the gatekeeping, you can't like this, that's trash, you shouldn't like that, you can't you can't enjoy this or that because of this in the past or that, or you said this and I don't like that. That really frustrates me in the gaming community, and where the industry is really trying to push for everybody to be able to have access to play things and play what they like. And there's so much gatekeeping going on, and it doesn't have to do with what's exclusive or not. It's mostly just how people treat, like, that's not first party, or that's not this, or they shouldn't buy that. And I'm guilty of it sometimes too. You know, I get upset that PlayStation will money hack games and they cannot land on the Xbox because of that money they spent. It's really frustrating.
The developer will complain that it didn't sell enough or something.
Yeah,
and it's just
and it's like, it's not Square's fault. Like, PlayStation said, here's a really big check. We want to be exclusive. We want this to be something for the PlayStation. And they're like, okay, we can do that. And that money, we've looked at the numbers and we feel like that money is justifiable to not sell games on a different platform. So yeah, we'll do that. And that's business. That's totally fine. But PlayStation standing back going, Xbox will never be able to have this. And then Xbox is buying their own stuff like, hey, Starfield, you can't have it because we bought it. Mm-hmm. But it's mostly the way the fans treat other people. Like, you can't get excited about Starfield because Fallout 76 was trash, and Bethesda hasn't made a good game since Skyrim, and that you can't be excited about Starfield. And it just goes on and on like that. It's so frustrating.
So it mostly sounds like the gatekeeping.
It's really what it is
for the most part. All right, so now the second half of that question: what would be a dream come true for Colt Eastwood in game?
In this space here,
in this space, in that space, in whatever space, bud.
I had aspirations at one time to make it into working at Xbox, but over the years, I just don't think I want to do that. I really like being able to do what I want to do, even if it doesn't really make very much money. And I have a really good full-time job, and I get to work from home. So I would like to be able to continue to build my Colt Eastwood channel, build my podcast, and have a lot of people enjoy it and tell me they're having a good time. And like Mag and I were told a couple weeks ago, all the people in the chat were telling us where they are in the world watching the show, and they were all over the planet in the middle of the night or super early in the morning on the other side of this world, like telling us that they like the show and they like listening to us. And my dream is just to continue to have what I have, is meeting people in the content space like you and the other people we get to meet. It's been really great, and I get to make enough money to buy a new game when it comes out. And before, I don't know if I could say that. Like, every new game had to come out, I had to value judge whether I should spend the money on it. And now I have way more options now. I mean, there's a lot of value options besides just paying for games. But I don't know. I would just like to be able to continue doing this because it's really made me happy. Well, let me say one more thing.
Okay. I was going to say, it sounds like maintaining is the dream. Maintaining and growing, continuing to grow.
But you remember how I said way in the beginning of the show that I create graphics and outreach and communication materials for my job? And I did that for many, many years. And they were sending off awards for me, like national awards, submitting the work I was doing, the illustrations of the posters I made, or handouts that like were really popular. And I was getting recognition for my work. And then over the years of me cranking out the best I could do, like I was always trying to make something amazing to wow my bosses and make stuff that people really liked. And after a while, they just kind of got used to it. And they're like, hey, can you make us another masterpiece? And I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah. And then it kind of went away, and the recognition slowed down. And I'm like, I want to be known for what I do. And once I got my channel going on YouTube, I got that recognition I've been asking for. It's for someone to say, hey, I love your production value, or I love your graphics you put in the video, or your thumbnails are really well designed. I just enjoy watching your videos, and I enjoy listening to your podcast. And that recognition comes every time I create something. And it's been the most important part of creating. Anybody who cooks, writes, draws, builds, plays, or does anything where they put it in front of eyes and say, hey, do you like this? They understand that someone's saying, hey man, that was cool. It is all the payment in the world. It's
a day maker.
So great. Yes. It's
a
a
day
big
maker,
deal.
and it's motivation to stay on path or to continue to move in the direction that you are, whether it is staying on path or upgrading said path.
Yeah.
So phenomenal answers, very good stuff. Colt Eastwood, that pretty much wraps up the show. Thank you so much to you coming through. Thanks so much to everybody in the chat. You guys kept it live. You guys asked some pretty great questions. I did have one question from somebody that was curious about as to why you thought Techland was going to be picked up by Microsoft. I had somebody ask me that. I told them if I had time, I'll ask you, do you want to touch on that or?
Because they were. Because because Xbox wanted them. And so I talked to Randall Thor, who had talked to someone who had heard this, and we were trying to figure out if it was true. Xbox had already said they wanted to be in the Eastern European market. And we heard a rumor that Xbox was helping out Techland getting Dying Light off the ground because it had been delayed like 2 years. And so someone told Rand and I that they think that Xbox is going to do a Titanfall 1 situation and help them complete the game in exchange for timed exclusivity, and they wanted to buy them. Well, that never happened. And I made a video like a month later saying I was wrong. But it's funny because the video where I claimed it, I said in the video throughout the whole thing, this could be or couldn't be. This is what we're hearing, but this is what the community manager is saying. So it's either this or it's that. But the thumbnail was Dying Light 2 Xbox exclusive. And that was all the smoking gun people needed. Now you fast forward to 4 years later, Techland is on their short list of studios to acquire. So that's why I said it, because it was reasonable. It was a speculation that was right in line with what was going on, and it didn't end up happening. There was a lot of studios Xbox has talked about buying. One of them is IO Interactive, the studio that makes Hitman. We were very sure they were going to buy them. They've still yet to even show any indication that they were going to do that or that they will. So these things happen. And I've been wrong a lot of times. I told people for 3 years Dying Light 2 is coming
creators. Out. We analyze and give opinions. We're going to be wrong all the time.
Yep.
Buckle up.
Yep.
But anyways, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm sorry. I just had to ask that side question. Those of you in the chat can't tell me that I don't be looking and seeing what y'all be saying, because I'm doing my best to include you guys into the show to the best of my ability. And sometimes, especially when we start to get a lot of people in here, it starts to get a little bit tough, but I do my best to monitor and try to ask the questions while giving him the respect that he deserves in the time, because we're already a half hour past what I anticipated. But anyways, Colt Eastwood, do me a quick solid. Let everybody know where they can find you if they don't know already, so they can go to your channel, hit that subscribe button and whatnot. Just a little heads up to everybody, if you do not like listening to that type of stuff, there is buttons where it'll take you to the description, and there's the link right then and there. But Colt Eastwood, please let everybody know from your mouth.
Thank you. Yeah, it's at Colt Eastwood on YouTube, or at Colt Eastwood on Twitter is where I mostly am. And you can check out my content. I'll have my podcast this Monday, and then be on the lookout for the next big video where I want to talk about some of these games, since we're going to take a little breather from the ABK talk, which drives people insane. But yeah, thank you so much. I think I kind of wore my voice out tonight. Thanks, Ham. I went ham solo on those vocal cords.
Oh, Lord almighty. Man, you did a fantastic job, man. And I appreciate your patience and not trying to push and hurry me up through the show or whatnot, because that happens sometimes. But I understand people have lives and things they got to deal with. And, it just is what it is. I thank all of you for kicking back, checking out the show, whether you're here the whole time, watching it live, or watching the replay. I appreciate you. Please hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. I'll definitely be having a lot more individuals coming on here, as I have already the past 2 years. Last thing, Colt, I have every person do this on the way out. Describe Gaming in just 3 words.
Okay. Immersion, interactivity, friends.
Immersion, interactivity, and friends. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Be sure to keep a lookout. I'll be on this channel tomorrow with Loke, Cozy Beluga, Matt Likes Games, doing our usual show, Bull Sitting, where we just all hang out, talk about video games, talk about what's been going on and what. Yes, Colt, that's the name of the show. Bull Sitting, because that's exactly what we're doing. But anyways, thank you so much, everybody. It's been a phenomenal show. You guys have a great rest of your week and weekend, and keep out for the lookout for next week's episode of Behind Them Sticks with Hayo, Mr. PlayStation. So see you guys then. Thank you so much for keeping an eye out. Me and Colt Eastwood signing off, letting you know to keep it gaming or keep it moving. Peace out, y'all.